Hello. Well, today's day 4, and the story today is called Tears in the Desert, the story of Hagar. So do you remember yesterday's story? We talked about a man named Abraham and the big promise God made to him. God's big promise was that one of Abraham's great-great-great-grandchildren would be a child who would bring God back to earth. God kept his promise, all right. He gave Abraham and Sarah a son named Isaac. But Abraham and Sarah didn't always keep their promises, and sometimes they sinned in ways that hurt other people. One of those people was Hagar. Now Hagar lived with Abraham and Sarah, but she wasn't treated very well at all. She did everything Abraham and Sarah told her to do, but it never seemed like enough. Why? Well, Sarah was jealous of Hagar, and I'm sure you know that you can't be jealous of someone and love into someone at the same time. One time, Sarah was so mean to Hagar that Hagar ran away out into the desert. And it looked like Hagar was going to die all alone out there because there wasn't any water in the desert. But God saw right where she was. God heard her when she was crying, and God came to her and gave her some water. Not only that, God promised to give her a son too. Hagar was surprised that God looked out for her. So surprised that she gave God a special name that means God sees me. I wish I could tell you that things were better after that. But when Hagar went back to Abraham and Sarah, they weren't any nicer. So Hagar had to leave again, this time with her son. And just like the last time, they were wandering around in the desert with no water. And just like last time, it looked like Hagar and her son were about to die. Just like last time, Hagar began to cry and cry. But just like last time, God saw her. Just like last time, God heard her. And just like last time, God gave Hagar and her son some water. You see, God was with Hagar. Even when Sarah was mean to her, even when she felt alone in the desert, even when she thought she would die from thirst, God was with Hagar. And God was with Hagar's son too. He would grow up to be a great warrior, an expert with a bow and arrow, and years later he would have kids of his own, and they would have kids of their own, until Hagar became a great nation. But even while Hagar's nation became great, they kept on wandering around in the desert. And as they wandered in the desert, they wished they could find a true home, one where no one would be mean to them, and they would never get thirsty. God would provide a home like that. But because of sin, it would be a very, very long time until he did, because God couldn't remain. Sin drove him away. So Hagar began to hope and to pray, God, will you come back to stay?